Whoa, press the button. Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, just haven't made a video in a little while. Lots of crap going on. Just everywhere. I have to get a new monitor. This is my old monitor. Yeah, the monitor crapped out on me. Crap. And this computer that I'm got the problem with the video board. You know, yeah, I know it looks okay, but yeah, it's not working. Gotta fix for somebody else. Well, anyway, it's just not working. I've tried. I think I'm gonna bake the damn thing. Anyway, that's a whole nother story, and the cat's still not quite right. It's just, everything's not too good. And then that wayward guy is depressing the fuck out of me. No, I really didn't know what to comment. You know, it's good being young. That's about all you can say, right? I mean, it's tough when you're doing that whole transition thing from, you know, you got a home and you got food and you got all that stuff, and then you say, fuck you cunts, and you live in your car for 6 months. And, but yeah, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I can't say I'd want to do it over again because it almost killed me, so. Ugh, transitions suck. I hate moving. I hate change. I hate the whole stupid game, and I guess I want to get to that somewhere in here. But X Machine Ghost guy closed his account. Why did he do that? Fuck, I'm so sick of people doing things that they don't tell me nothing, they don't say nothing. It's just like, you know, some people just take this all a little bit too unseriously, which is annoying. So anyway, Fred's done a couple of videos on beauty, and they did one on this whole YouTube thing and communication and how we got to do it better. But his is sort of in a social networking way. Here's an old video of mine as one of the whatevers. Anyway, you know, we got to do this stuff better and blah blah blah, and you know it's true, but you know it's just so hard to know what better is. You know, I mean, it's just hard to know how to. I mean, yeah, okay, we can do this stupid thing like, okay, let's post video responses, or let's do video responses, which I would be fairly good at, except lately I just don't have much to say. I do, but I don't. I mean, I do have a lot to say, but I want to say it in a certain way. So I guess that's part of the problem. You know. So anyway, you know, so as a follow-up to the F-list video, I'll read some of these comments and maybe try to deal with some of them. And you know, these people do end up having a whole conversation, so they do try to work on each other a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. It's not that complicated as the video points out. Well, anyway, so the next Blogger Dome video is on this value subject, and just gets so tied up in what Fred's talking about beauty, and then what sort of comes out in these comments, you know, is this distinction that people don't seem to be able to make, that somehow we're trading, and somehow we're making a profit. You know, that somehow the suffering we endure is somehow the desire we satisfy is worth it. And they don't even get, you know, I say the word addiction, and they don't even acknowledge that as a concept. And they kind of think that our repulsions to something are just as subjective as our attachments to things. That's really not how the mechanism works. It really does have to contrive the forward motion. The attachment mechanism is like something pushing you, and you're pushed by a deprivation in that direction. So again, it's a negative force pushing you to need something, where fear or apprehension or revulsion is, generally speaking, very tied to some sort of experience that you're going to experience. I mean, some of our fears are just mechanical. Spiders, snakes. There's probably high places or something. We might have some innate discomforts that are built into the programming. But most of what we acquire fear of has to do with the fact that we experience it and we say, we don't want to do that again. We learn to be repulsed by what happens to us, by circumstances. And, you know, these guys, I guess, would say, you know, because most people drink. I don't know if it's true or not, but let's just say most people drink. and let's say a certain percentage drink way too much and pay a huge price for it in terms of hangovers and being sick, that somehow that logic is the true logic. You know, where I could argue, I think quite simply, that if alcohol never existed, we would have been better off. We would have been better off without that attachment or that need or that dependency. That it, on balance, has done a lot more harm than good. And I could say that about anything that we're attached to. I mean, even sex, for example, you could argue, well, let's calculate into the mix how many times you have sex, and what's the price paid? Like, how many people get AIDS by having sex? So all the AIDS that people end up having, or all the other venereal diseases, or even childbirth, all these necessary connected miseries that are tied to this activity. And would I impose that on somebody? Would I give somebody AIDS to have sex? 100 times? I get to have sex 100 times and then one person gets AIDS? I mean, what's the number we're going to throw out there? And is there a number that would matter in that equation? Would any amount of my sexual gratification with somebody be make it worth it? I could argue no. And then even we can get into the argument of the difference between needing food and needing food that tastes good. These are different things. And it's like some of these people just don't want to do the little bit of work it takes to make these distinctions. And there are subtleties here that dictionary definitions don't cover, but certainly the context of the conversation has made it clear. And this is also annoying, that they want to keep reverting to language not spoken, and they keep ignoring the language explicitly stated, and the context explicitly created. So when I say cannibalism, it seems quite obvious. I've said it over and over and over again. I've explained the context of that terminology. It's not a literal cannibalism of a DNA code within a certain range. It's a cannibalism in terms of a functionality, in terms of a mechanism of taking from something else that's just as valuable as yourself. So anyway, let's play with some of this. Tranquil, it's a molecule that evolved. I mean, you're going to watch the time. I have a auction waiting on me. These are degrees of freedom, just as there are degrees of stench. It's a molecule that evolved. Yeah, there are degrees of freedom. See, that's there are degrees of freedom. What do I do with that? Show me one. Show me a freedom. There is no freedom. Anyway, molecule replicating almost makes it sound neutral. Well, the point of saying it wasn't to make it sound neutral or anything. The point is that there's no other mission statement here. We don't accomplish anything else. We don't satisfy any other need. There is no other thing happening but the necessity of a molecule replicating, and I would argue that there's no necessity to the molecule replicating. And that's the significance of the point. It's just a molecule replicating. What I note out of this long conversation is you and I agree that the subjective situation is the important one. I don't know if we do agree on that. If you mean the subjective situation and that all things that are in jeopardy. But again, I'm not going to concede to any subjective definitions of reality or the truth. We know there's imbeciles in the world, a lot of them. They have delusional belief systems, God-driven delusional belief systems. I don't have a doubt about that. I don't have any doubt about that. 0% doubt. They're idiots. Their judgment is destroyed by this notion of creation. If they looked at life as it is, without this notion of a God making it, they could see that it's a terribly awful, horrible game. And it's only nihilists now who are eliminating the existence of the price paid, who can find some justification for the pretense of an excuse to play the game. Again, you know, whether people want to be the fastest swimmer in the world, or the best runner, or the best this, or they want to get caught up in a competition and not concede it's a competition, well, I can't really have a philosophical argument or a conversation with somebody unwilling to concede what's really taking place, which is it doesn't matter what the competition is. The only thing that's driving you is the competition inside of you, your need, your ego, your vanity. These are the things driving you. Okay, it is not in the thing you're doing. Baseball is not intrinsically a good thing. You make it. People make it into something because of their attachment to it, because of their addiction, because of their horniness, because of their hunger, because they will sense deprivation if they don't have this glory pin to wear, this badge, this seal of approval, this notion of accomplishment. Notion of accomplishment. Notion of accomplishment. Notion of accomplishment. There, should I have to say that over and over again till you might sort of think that one over for a while, that maybe it is just a notion of accomplishment and that real accomplishment is preventing harm and nothing else. There's nothing else that's a real accomplishment. Everything else is just an addiction, the satisfaction of a notion of attachment. You say suffering is the of objective import. That means the subjective hard consciousness is the seat of objective import. The subjective hard consciousness. Okay, I mean, you put those three words together. I don't think they belong there. The hard consciousness is a feeding machine. I've already described it. It's as insidious as a great white shark or killer whales, entertaining themselves with the success of forcing, a mammal of no less credibility than themselves into the ocean so they can chew it to pieces. That's hard consciousness. What's subjective in there is that, yes, they're individuals, but there's no subjective interpretation of what they're caught up in. They're caught up in cannibalism, okay, essentially. So it's consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, addiction, or the other way around. Crap. It's the seed of, but it is significant. It's not much, but it is significant. It's a seed of objective import. It's not much, but it is significant. Well, again, you're saying something significant about merely being a battle bot. And I'm saying that's all delusion. The fact that you see victory in creating dead bodies behind you, of satisfying your vanity by saying, I'm superior, I'm better, I'm cooler. There's no victory in this. It's a delusion in your head that there's victory in it. And there's no way really to play it without the competitors. If I gave you a virtual reality, I suggest virtual reality, and know why people don't want it is because they really do want to hurt other people. They want the real victory of creating real losers. Yeah. They're sick like that. Self-included. Anyway. I better keep an eye on my auction just to be sure. I don't want to miss my opportunity and such. 13 minutes. Okay, I should set a timer. 13 minutes from right now, so 10 minutes. 48. Okay, I can handle that. Gotta get this moving. Even if one grants that suffering is objective normative import, of course this is a point of contention. I do not see ephilism as following from the premises. 1. No can be harmed by not coming into being. Coming into being will necessitate the experience of suffering. Therefore, it's morally commendable to procreate. Condemnable. Big difference in those two words. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, you're opening the door to harm for all the negative experiences that are, what we apprehend about, to satisfy a notion in your head that it needs to take place. That's it. And then your projection that the individual you'll create is somehow going to also need to be here. That they're going to say, yes, there's so much I need to do and need to accomplish, and I need this victory, and I need to feel like I'm better than you, and I need to destroy some people so I can feel good about myself. Well, again, why would I respect that? The fact that people will say, I like life, doesn't mean I have to respect their opinion. Their opinion is made of shit. They don't understand what life does. Okay, life creates failures in a much higher density than it creates successes. It uses failures to feed successes. It creates cannibalism. Yeah, over and over again. Alright. Reason being the qualification of other values relationally to suffering that are worthy of affirmation. So again, these are all kind of like God talk, affirmation, and blah, blah, blah. So you're just saying that there's something of real value in your projection. So when I see a beautiful woman with, just perfectly shaped breasts and a nice perfect flat stomach and a nice vagina and whatever, just perfectly manicured and blah, blah, nice firm behind with nice thighs upwarding into the whole mechanism and then this little curve in the back or something and blah, 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 blah. That experience, where I know exactly where it came from, okay, it's a biological function, necessitating this procreation, driving me to it, not necessitating but encouraging this idea of the replication, a necessary function, so we don't get distracted doing other things. This is made into the chaseable, the Cheeto. So you're saying that that's worthy. It's a worthy attachment. This contrivance of a molecule to manipulate my behavior by creating this perception of beauty. Come on. And so the one you got when you get away from, for me personally, the next levels of beauty get very, it's like this one is really big and strong, and the rest of them start tailing off really quickly on the whatever. Oh, look, whatever, Alaska, mountains and trees. Yeah, okay, so what? Yeah, I'm not, that'll last about 15 seconds, and I say, I got enough of that already. So come on, what's the list? What's the list of all the magnificence that's worth all this carnage? I'm curious, what values are these? Oh, good for you, Equinox guy. That can be reduced down to a simple maximizing of pleasure, minimizing of suffering. Okay. Truth, for example. Truth can hurt. Okay, so now we have this ex guy who's an idiot, ex-knowledge is free guy. Truth, for example. Truth can hurt. Well, it's irrelevant. And no one here is arguing against the value of truth, but not truth as some sort of thing to jerk off to. Truth has value because it makes you more productive. It makes you more likely to deal with the real circumstances instead of a delusion or a projection of value. You'll recognize the real value. So, by using truth as an example, you've stepped right into my trap, so to speak. Because it's you're not honoring the truth by pretending that your notions of accomplishment or value have any real credibility or real substance, because they don't. Okay. When illusions are destroyed, and yet many consider it preferable to illusions. Preferable. And yet they consider it preferable for reasons. Alright, now you want to get caught up in some kind of dignity stoic thing. Again, they might be saying, I honor the truth, because the honor word will be the important one, right? I will be a hero, and I will face the truth, and I will be honorable to the truth, and I will be fair, fair, fair. So they're just doing more of this ego crap, where I won't dishonor myself by being a silly person who compromises the truth, and so now I'm stuck with the truth, which is, I have to go jump on the grenade now because the truth says it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Anyway, we place a high value on truth because we see that it leads in the long run to the most productive. Yeah, well, I won't read this guy, but he's just going to say all my brilliant stuff too. We see that delusions cause immense damage, even though it definitely can hurt when they are crushed. yeah, well, whatever. I just don't see it as relevant to a conversation. If you're going to be a philosopher, then having a conversation about whether the truth is comfortable or uncomfortable really shouldn't. We shouldn't even have to do that. No, we place a high value on truth because it is a value in and of itself. Well, that's just silly. If there's no action, the truth has no value. And in the end, it doesn't matter whether you... All that matters is how productively you act. And so if you can act productively on a delusion, that would be just fine. So the truth isn't intrinsically valuable. It's just that it tends to produce productivity. So I guess in that sense it is intrinsic. It isn't the intrinsic value. It gets its value from creating productive behavior. And so that's all. And again, how is the truth on your side here? I just don't see how, if you're going to honor the truth, you have to just to recognize that you're just addicted. That's one of the fundamental truths here. And that all you're doing is taking because you need, not because the need exists in the world, because it just exists in your delusionary brain. Just as the Martians not existing now does not create any deprivation in the universe. They're not missed. They don't need to be here. They don't serve a function. They wouldn't serve a function. There's just nothing. It's just not an equation you can make value out of unless the Martians would cure cancer. The only way you can make the Martians valuable is they have to help prevent harm in a sentient. The Martians could be valuable if they killed the Earthlings, because then they would prevent them from suffering. I mean, damn. If given the choice of living in a virtual reality matrix of bliss where no suffering existed, well, again, no suffering existed is kind of a silly notion. There has to be some understanding of deprivation for you to want. Want is made out of that. You have to become addicted even in virtual reality, so you can't live without any sense of want. So you have to, in some way, have to be a loser to be able to appreciate winning the Super Bowl. Right? You're not going to appreciate winning the Super Bowl unless you know what it's like to be a failure and a fool and an asshole and a fuck-up. So unless you need to win the Super Bowl, there'd be no point in you winning the Super Bowl, if you get my drift. So even in a virtual reality, you'd have to at least have memories of suffering to know what it is you're succeeding. How you have to be an underdog. You have to be a down thing before you can be an up thing. That's the only way you get off, is having this release of discomfort. If you were really, really satiated and comfortable, you're just not going to be that interested in doing anything. You have to have a hunger. The hunger has to be made of something, and that something is usually going to be a ball of something tense and needful. Negative. It's going to be made out of something negative. All right. I guess I'm done anyway. Where no suffering exists, living is real. Blah blah blah. Okay, I think I gotta go to my auction. I believe I do. Yes, I do. So anyway, yeah, it might be already overpriced actually. Yeah, it's more than I want to spend. I hate having to calculate it. Yeah, it always comes down to like about $2, $3 or something. And you're just kind of pissed off because at the end you just say, it's only $3 more, you dumb fuck. You were going to spend this much and you're going to spend $3 more and you could have won. Why not $3 more? But there always has to be a line somewhere, right? There has to be a line somewhere where you say, no, I'm not going to spend that much. I'll spend this much, but I won't spend that much. And it's just idiotic, but it comes down to these stupid dollar. And you're just like, why does this dollar matter? I know it doesn't really matter, but that line has to be there, right? It does somehow have to be there, but you just keep saying, well, what about one more? $2 then? $3? You just, well, you get the drift. So anyway, until next time. It's not the best of times here. Yeah, it's not the best of times. It's not the worst of times either, but it's just not. Yeah.